Like with me as the man behind the mission, firstly, many congratulations. What's your state of mind at the moment?
Thanks, Puja. Good to be with you. Right now, my head is spinning a little bit. We were on a 35-hour flight yesterday, but I'm now in India, a place I've wanted to be and to travel to for most of my life. And to actually be here right now is absolutely amazing, and to feel the spirit of this people and to feel their excitement for the Rings of Power, I couldn't be more thrilled.
Awesome. 5 seasons, 50 hours of filming, recreating Tolkien's universe. You don't have much source material. You likened your situation to Frodo setting out to the Shire. So what was that really like? I mean, what a challenge you've taken upon yourself.
It was absolutely remarkable. We had a friend at Amazon who told us that they had got the rights to this material and invited us in to come and offer up our approach.
Yeah.
And so we started thinking, well, what do we want to do? And I guess we're more than 9,000 years of history that Tolkien created.
Yeah.
So it was a huge, wide open playing field. And then we're attracted to the idea of the Second Age, which is the forging of the Rings of Power, the rise of the Dark Lord Sauron, the fall of Numenor, and the last alliance of elves and men. And as soon as we started sort of scratching around that area, we got really excited because we felt like this is a story that deserves to be told,
yeah.
And that it deserves to have the kind of resources that Amazon wants to put into it. So the more we developed it, the more it just felt like, you start excavating a fossil and suddenly you find there's a whole dinosaur that's buried
True.
there, and then you bring him to life.
So you have some iconic characters and there's some new characters that have been created. So it's like a blueprint, but it's how you paint what you want. So that must have been tough. So what was the mindset? Because a lot of fans are waiting in anticipation, and comparisons are inevitable
Sure.
with Peter Jackson's world. So what would you want to tell them?
Well, there's a lot to discover, because there's a lot of things that Tolkien created that, where he hinted at a culture,
Yeah.
like he talked about Harfoots, for example,
Yeah.
and he tells us a little bit about them, that they're beardless, or bootless and beardless, that they lived in holes, and that, he tells us a couple things about Harfoot, that they're a little darker of skin than other branches of halflings, but he doesn't really name any Harfoot characters. So we said, okay, let's take that kind of a society, and he tells us that they had something called their wandering days. So
Yeah.
he said, how do we create characters that would feel like wandering hobbits thousands of years earlier, or characters that people know better like Galadriel and Elrond?
Yeah.
And we say, well, what were they like thousands of years before people might know them from the other adaptations they've seen? So it was a really cool process to go through.
And you're someone who is used to working with shows that are iconic. So which one was easier now, Star Trek or this one? If I may ask that question.
That's a really hard question because they're very different, but they both mean a lot to the different fan bases. In some ways, one is a show of the mind, the other one is a show of the heart. Star Trek has such crazy, cool science fiction ideas, and this one has such deep, wonderful human, emotional themes, but very different.
What was most challenging for you when you created this? I would call it a cinematic universe because even if it's on a platform, but I mean, you've created five seasons, you've created many movies. What was most challenging?
A lot of things, but one of the tough things is that there's nothing ready-made about Middle-earth. You can't go into a store somewhere and just pull Middle-earth off a shelf. In some case, every leaf has to be actually constructed and built. And scenes that in some other show would be easy. One of the real aha moments for me was I asked our VFX coordinator. He said, you know what the most difficult scene you and Patrick have designed is? And I was like, well, was it this battle with the sea creature? Was it this thing over here with the Balrog? And he said, no, it's a scene where the elf and the dwarf walk down the hall together.
Wow.
Because it's an enormously complicated problem because you have to have 2 different scales of scenery. You have to have 2 different scales of props, costumes. When a camera is moving, it has to do a move that is mathematically multiplied, to make them seem different sizes. So and then to have that all while happening while someone's moving makes it almost an impossible math problem to solve. So scenes that in other worlds are easy to create in Middle-earth are very difficult.
Absolutely. Since you're a Tolkien fan, which is your favorite character?
Oh, don't make me pick favorites between my children. I would never hear the end of it from the actors.
Also, have you managed to pick up any words from the many languages of Tolkien?
Aelberth Giltoniel si levrin penna miriel lomenal aglar elanath, na chaired palandirio ogaladremin enrath, vanuilos lelinithon, nevair si nevairon.
What did you say?
I said, "O Elbereth, star kindler, gazing from afar upon the tree-woven lands of Middle Earth." It's a poem asking Elbereth, who is Lady Varda, one of the Valar, to look upon us and give us help.
Oh, lovely. And if you had the ring of power in your hand, what is that one thing that you would do?
Oh my gosh, I would try to get rid of it as fast as possible.
But also, last question before I go, there's also binge viewing, and there's also, 2 shows are dropped, 2 seasons are dropped. What do you make of that?
Well, fortunately, we're going to be dropping our episodes one at a time. We do the first 2 episodes on September 2nd, and then it's a weekly drop after that. And I love shows that do it that way, because it becomes a ritual where it's a weekly gather. It's a communal thing. When you binge something, you can just sort of by yourself, like turn it on and go through all of it in one night. But I love the anticipation that comes when something comes out, and then there's that cliffhanger at the end of a show, and then you're like, and then you're going to get back together again with your friends or your family or whoever you like to watch it with, and everyone gets together next week. Tolkien is so good at bringing people together. I hope this show does the same thing.
Absolutely. That fandom is just another universe. Yep. So all the very best and many congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I'm sure it wasn't easy to pull this one off.
Thank you.
Thank you
Really
so
appreciate
much.
it.